Hey, you want to watch some TV or something?
Skip it. Well, I'm getting ready to watch a video.
Really? What?
Nothing but foul language and toilet humor.
I'm disgusted and repulsed and I can't look away.
I need these things! I need these things! Tell me, do you want to go? We're stopping on the color line.
Oh, no way, Jose.
This just in, go to hell!
This conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Hello, friends and listeners. Welcome to a new episode of Watch Skip Plus. We are a movie review podcast with a lifestyle twist. That means that after we review a new movie, streaming or theatrical, we give you a bonus review, which can be on anything. Pop culture ensues. My name is Jose, also known as Cupcake, the only person you know to have Googled the term Ed Helms nude. And I'm joined by my co-host, Mike, the Wildebeest. Wildebeest, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Are you tired?
We just reviewed Minecraft movie, and the insanity just continues. Like, one of the guys who brought a chicken into a movie theater is from Utah. Like,
oh my God,
you've seen of people losing their mind are from here in Utah.
Oh my God! And reports that people are calling the theater management and the police. Kids getting escorted out of the film because they're too "quote unquote" rowdy. I mean, listen, you would never escort people out of a Rocky Horror Picture Show for being too rowdy, and
No.
so yeah. But you know, let them have fun. This is one of the first times I think kids have gone to something and been this. I mean, they didn't get out of control over a Pixar film like this, but still, let them have fun, and it's going to be a huge hit. So I suppose there's going to be a sequel, which we're going to have to see.
It's their version of The Room, you know, that's everyone throwing spoons at the freaking screen. Let them do what they want to do. No, things are doing pretty great, man. I'm happy to be here.
You broke out a Corns t-shirt, so you know, hey, that's the mood. That's the mood. Speaking of mood, we're in a thriller mood. What are we reviewing this week?
We are reviewing Christopher Landon's Drunk.
Ooh. So we made hay of this before.
Yep.
Just like Speak No Evil, this trailer has been front loaded on everything you can imagine. Hollywood, what are you doing? Please stop ruining the films in a trailer.
If you
we'll
have
get to that
trailer, don't see it. Just if you keep away from it, don't see it, because it really does ruin the freaking finale.
It certainly does. All right, well, let's just get started, man. I'm going to start with you. You've got Below the Line today. So who do we got behind the camera for Drop?
Well, we've talked about him. He's one that we talk about and like here. That's Christopher Landon. He's the director. We've talked about him recently because he produced Hard Eyes. He's the son of Michael Landon, mostly known for his work on the horror comedies Freaky, Happy Death Day and its sequel, and Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. So we've spent a lot of time talking about him. We both have fawned over him. We both are a big fan of him. I don't know if there's much more we can talk about. What about you? Have anything more to say about Christopher?
So, I mean, I fawned over him because he's super hot, but he's also openly gay, which, yay, team LGBTQ plus QA and questioning. I'm sure I got that wrong. But there is a podcast that I actually listen to that I really, really love, and I would highly recommend it to our community, primarily because the man who runs it, his name is Kevin Getz, runs sneak previews for films for studios. And so he had Christopher Landon on his March 5th episode. And just a couple things to talk about for Christopher Landon. One, for whatever reasons, like his father, he did not want to go to physicals, right? He hadn't had one in a decade. And so while he was actually filming a film, he went in for a physical. He went on location. The doctor was like, look, I need you to see this specialist or whatever. And then he, found out he had cancer, basically. And his father died of cancer as well. And so in this interview, Landon was sort of like, look, everybody get your physicals, check out your health. Like it's going to catch up with you. And a lot of things, because I think he had like cancer of maybe the kidney. I can't remember. But some of these diseases, they're not going to show a symptom until it's too late, unfortunately. But the other thing I wanted to talk about with Christopher Landon is that, and we've mentioned this before, he was slated to direct Scream 7.
Yep.
And the way that the lore goes, basically, Melissa Barrera, she was the star, and Jenna Ortega. Barrera had these pro-Palestine social media posts, and she was fired from the job. Jenna Ortega, who now, in a weird reversal, originally she said scheduling with Wednesday, the Netflix show. Then it came out she asked for more money and they wouldn't pay her. And then she recently did an interview with the third iteration of her story, which was, I just didn't feel creatively there was anything left to be in, so I left the project. Okay, Jenna. Okay. No, just kidding. I whatever. It is what it is. Actually, if whatever reason she is actually sticking by or is the real reason, I completely understand. How about that? All three reasons. But Christopher Landon really wanted to direct Scream because Scream is a franchise of his. He's known for his hybrid of horror and comedy. Scream has an undercover comedy bent in terms of its sort of like meta, self-referential horror, post-horror kind of stuff. Yeah. And unfortunately, when all this went down, now some trades reported that Spyglass fired him. He said that he departed the project. Now he's not directing it. But when I saw this, I was like, damn, Spyglass made a mistake because he's got chops. We'll get to this in the review. But he had been working on this script for the film drop. And he was like, what am I going to do? Am I just going to sit? Am I going to mope? And he said, nope, I'm going to dive into work. That's what I do. That's the kind of person I am. And he rejiggered the script with his writers. And then he said, you know what? I'll direct it. And here we have Drop. So yeah, love Christopher Landon. Who else we got below the line? Sorry.
Well, I'm first going to mention three big names just so we can get them out of the way, which I was kind of shocked that we have three super producers involved in this.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Bay and Jason Blum co-producing between Blumhouse and Platinum Dunes. That was kind of interesting to me to see that those two major powerhouse production companies came together as a co-production on this. If you don't know, Jason Blum and Blumhouse, I mean, they've really kind of coined the PG-13 horror to let's make it for 5 to 10 million and turn it into 50 to 100 million. Their movies continue to make money. Bay's Platinum Dunes rebooted quite a few famous franchises: the Ninja Turtles,
Chainsaw, Nightmare on Elm Street,
Chainsaw, all those, so many remakes. So it was interesting to see those three involved. What did you think about when you saw the Blumhouse and Platinum Dunes production?
So I'm a huge fan of Blumhouse, even though they've been on a horrible streak of late. The Exorcist, Believer, Poopy, Woman in the Yard, I think is actually doing well. I haven't seen it yet, but the trailer today's the day, just made me crazy. Meghann was kind of disappointing. Actually, I'll have more about Meghann to say in my plus, so stick around for that plus, folks. I don't know. I'm hoping Blumhouse can turn it around because Night Swim, that was a shitty fucking movie. Platinum Dunes, kudos to that studio because they have begun producing films and not just the reboots. And so when I see the Platinum Dunes logo, I'm like, okay, I think I might expect something good here.
Me too.
And I, for one, loved the Nightmare on Elm Street reboot. So the entire internet can suck it because I dug it. It's flawed, but I dug it. Who else we got behind the line?
Let's talk about writing duo Chris Roach and Gillian Jacobs. They actually started as producers on one of my favorite shows of all time, Big Brother. So they started as producers on Big Brother, and that's a show that I've watched gosh, at least 15 seasons of, and the first time I watched it was 2002. I love the tea. I love the drama of it. And then Chris actually started before that with WWE as a writer and producer for WWE.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting to see where they started, and then they started teaming up with Blumhouse, and they've written 3 films: Truth or Dare, Fantasy Island, and Drop. I know we've talked about Fantasy Island before.
Oh, I love Fantasy Island.
Yeah.
I love it. So many people poo-pooed it, but man, was that ever... I love that director, Jeff Wadlow. I didn't like Imaginary, yet another Blumhouse disappointment.
One of our first episodes together. You can go back and look at that.
Yeah.
Number 24. Yep.
Absolutely. See, snuck in a plug. Promo, baby, promo. And then strangely, Truth or Dare, the fun thing about Truth or Dare is it came out before Smile, but it bears a huge resemblance to Smile, because the thing that sort of like possesses people, they get this weird like CGI like smirk smile or whatever. And I was kind of like, why does this look familiar? Obviously after I saw Smile. It is a fun movie actually, and it has a really crazy mean streak. I know I keep saying this about films, but like people are set on fire and like bludgeoned and like eyes are gouged. It's a freakish little film. But Fantasy Island, please, people, check it out. It's really not as bad as they say. And as a reboot through the lens of sort of like a horror mystery, which changes into something else, actually pretty good. It's worth your time.
Yeah, I liked it a lot too. Now let's go ahead and talk about our cinematographer and DOP, Mark Spicer. He's well known for his movies Thunderstruck, Mission Impossible 2, Son of the Mask, Invincible, Moulin Rouge, The Wolverine. And recently he's worked with our folks with Escape Room 1 and 2, The Shallows, Lights Out, and The Furious 7 and Fast of the Furious movies. So lots of work that Mark Spicer has done. Are you familiar with a lot of his work?
Oh, yeah. First of all, just like Fantasy Island, I think the Escape Room movies are completely underappreciated and so absolute fun.
Blast.
Oh my God, that sequel, I was like, okay, where did they go from here? But man, was that effing awesome.
Yeah, better than the first one, in my opinion.
I know that's right. And he took for Furious 7, he shared DP duties with Stephen Windon on Furious 7. Furious 7 also being directed by James Wan, who we've talked about before because he's done Saw. He produces for a studio, his studio called Atomic Monster, which merged with Blumhouse. Wow, all these names going together. What can you do, right?
The incestuous kind of industry.
Hello. But yeah, I love I love Mark Spicer, and funnily enough, if that's a word, funnily enough, we reviewed Minecraft, which starred Emily Myers, who was in Family Switch. Mark Spicer was the DP of Family Switch, which also stars Ed Helms.
Coming back around again.
By the way, I love Ed Helms. I think he's a perfect sexy man. I would absolutely marry him. Yes. Go stick that in your father hole, folks. Okay, who else do we got?
Okay, let's go to editor Ben Badhune. Badhune, I think is how you say his name. He was an apprentice, started with Mike Flanagan on Oculus, which again is Mike Flanagan's first films, and I adore that. Then he went on to work as an editor on the film Before We Go, The Gift, did extra editing on Hardcore Henry, and then bringing it back around again, he did editing on Krampus. So
there you go. Good editor, actually, because I mean, listen, you can think what you want of Hardcore Henry, but I think it was designed to scramble your brain, kind of like Crank, right? But of course, the editing for Krampus, I mean, it's fantastic. It's great.
Yeah. Well, him and Christopher Landon actually met on Viral, which Christopher Landon wrote. Really interesting film if you haven't seen it. Not entirely successful, but pretty interesting look at STDs and in a horror type of way. And then one of my favorites, he did editing for Nacho Vigalondo Colossal, which I think is A very underrated film, mix of kaiju and trauma, unlike anything anyone has seen. And then he's worked on Happy Death Day to You, the third Black Christmas movie, and We Have a Ghost, as well as Azrael, which I really liked, you not as much.
I did not, but you know what? I will revisit it because I'm a Simon Barrett stan. So there you go.
A couple more names. Let's get through. Brendan Condren is stunt coordinator on this, with over 160 credited roles in the stunt department since his first gig as a stuntman in 1992's The Playboys. Most notably, stunt coordinator recently on Abigail, the Medallion, if you remember that oldie back with.
Oh my God, Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan
and Claire Forlani. Wow, that's a deep cut.
Yep. And then you remember the King Arthur movie? He was also stunt coordinator on that one.
Guy Ritchie?
Yep. And A Good Day to Die Hard. So
nice.
Interesting stunt work from Irish stunt coordinator Brendan Condren. The last name I'm going to touch on, then we'll go to cast, is, we've talked about him a ton, but man, is he a prolific person in music. That's Bear McCreary. We've discussed
love that name
before. Over 300 film and TV credits, 142 composer credits, most prolific of the past 20 years, starting with horror film Rest Stop in 2006, but most famous for creating the awesome theme for Walking Dead. Bear McCreary really is one of those, if you've seen a film, you've heard his music.
And I love his music, actually. He has, I listen to some of his scores when I'm working, like Godzilla King of Monsters, The Dark Tower, Snowpiercer. I love Bear McCreary. By the way, I have a blind spot in my Christopher Landon viewing history. I've never seen the Happy Death Day movies.
You what?
I know. I need to see them, especially considering that Jessica Roti was amazing in Boy Kills World. She actually reminded me of Sharon Stone in that film for some reason, but I need to see the Happy Death Days. I do.
Yes, you do. Those are fantastic. They might be Landon's masterpieces. I honestly
really, because I love me some Freaky. I loved Freaky.
I think Happy Death Day, the first one, was better than Freaky. The sequel gets into some silly, fun time travel, and then of course that kind of gets rehashed, and we've had 3 or 4 ripoffs of that idea of time travel.
Yeah. Got it.
Landon has been involved in a lot of those time cut. We've talked about him, but that's pretty much behind the line. Let's go to you for the cast.
Yeah. So I'm going to go through 3 people in the cast, and maybe a 4th actually, but I'm going to save somebody for spoilers, because the minute I saw the actor's name in the credits, there was a part of me that thought he may be pivotal to this. I don't know. So let's start with Brandon Sklenar. First of all, as I was watching this, maybe a little too much eyeliner on the lower line, folks. It's a tad bit too much. But he is just so dreamy, Brandon Sklenar. Absolutely dreamy. But I kept calling him Jersey Ryan Gosling, because he kind of looks like Ryan Gosling and Glenn Powell had a baby, and out popped Brendan Sklenar. Sklenar hails from Dover, New Jersey, hence the Jersey Ryan Gosling, and raised in northern New Jersey. Throughout the film, because this is just my mind, I kept thinking to myself, is he Russian Jewish? Is he Polish? Turns out his mom is of Czechoslovakian, I can't say it, Czech descent. So he's got some Czech in him, okay? Czech. So believe it or not, Sklenar actually has been a working actor, whether you remember seeing him or not. Actually, Mike, you mentioned that. You were like, what were the movies you'd seen on his resume, but you were like, I don't remember him being in this.
Yeah, again, I don't think I've really seen him. I mean, I knew he was in films, but I think you mentioned
Vice, the Dick Cheney film directed by Adam McKay. He's in that. He was in Midway, which also, look, the film Roland Emmerich's Midway featured basically every single hot actor. And all you need to know is that Roland Emmerich is openly gay. And so I was looking at the cast of Midway and I was like, of course they got cast. Of course he's in this.
Yeah,
no, you've never seen it.
No.
Got it. So Sklenar made his debut in 2011, a film called Cornered. And then I have talked about this before, and I just mentioned Simon Barrett, who wrote Azrael. Simon Barrett collaborates with my future husband, Adam Wingard, a lot. They wrote The Guest, Blair Witch. They worked on Godzilla X Kong. But Barrett wrote a horror film in 2017 called Temple. And I remember seeing this film, not entirely successful, not one of Barrett's best screenplays, but still interesting enough to watch. And I remember looking at Sklenar and being like, man, this guy is super cute. He obviously can act. Why isn't he on screens more? I think most people, first of all, we should say that just the fact that he was cast as Burt Reynolds in the Paramount Plus series, The Offer, about the making of The Godfather. First of all, the fact that he was, cast as Burt Reynolds, I think we need to elevate Brandon Sklenar, okay? I've also compared him to Glenn Powell because, they're both thirsty hot, but I happen to think that Brendan is a better actor. I don't know why I'm whispering that. But his breakout role was as Robert Mapplethorpe's brother in the Eliza Dushku. Eliza Dushku is an actress. You know her from Dollhouse as well as Wrong Turn, but she produced a biographical film in 2018 called Mapplethorpe. He was also in a film called The Big Ugly, which I haven't seen yet, but it's sort of like British gangster genre meets American Western. And Richard Roper of the Chicago Times said, Brandon Sklenar gives a screen-popping performance as Junior. He's fantastic as a monster cloaked in a James Dean persona. So I did mention Midway. I also mentioned, the Offer that he was in as well. He's been in a bunch of other indies, but he is starting to climb in terms of his pop culture status. He is the lead in Paramount Plus's Yellowstone spinoff show 1923. He plays, I believe, Spencer Dutton, the big game hunter. He is frequently shirtless and shows his butt, if that's your thing. So, feel free to pop into that television series. And then he was part of that film, This Ends With Us. I remember seeing him in the trailer and being like, Brandon Sklenar. But unfortunately, people don't really remember that movie now, other than the fact that it has that long-running spat. I'm going to say spat between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds and everybody under the sun giving an opinion of it. Anyway, that's what that is. Meghann Fahy, she is our star. Actually, I probably should have started with her, but I went with the hottie first. Actually, Meghann Fahy is a hottie. And as I was watching this, I kept thinking to myself, she could have played Megyn Kelly in Bombshell. I'm not sure why. Anyway, I'm sure maybe she was cast. I don't know. Meghann Fahy, most of us will know her from a Freeform series called The Bold Type. That featured a trio of young actresses, of which one was Fahy. And it was kind of like The Devil Wears Prada. They were working for like a fashion magazine. But she started on One Life to Live as a soap actress and then burned her way through some pretty critical acclaimed roles in television. So I'm looking at the second season of The White Lotus. I think that even got a SAG Ensemble Award and some other nominations. And then she was recently in the Netflix series The Perfect Couple, which starred Nicole Kidman and Sam Nivola, who curiously enough ended up in The White Lotus season 3. Incestuous. There you go. My Broadway heads will recognize Meghann Fahy as one of the originators. And I say one of the originators because she was the standby for the Natalie Goodman role in Next to Normal. If you've never seen Next to Normal, the musical, it's really sad. And there is a crazy twist that left me devastated and crying. I'm so shocked it hasn't become a movie yet. But Fahy was the stand-in, the standby in case Jennifer Damiano couldn't go on. And then she reprised it on Broadway and then did the first national tour for that. I recently saw her also in Your Monster. Did you ever see that?
I started it, but I didn't finish it just recently. I'm going to finish it, though.
Okay, so you need to finish it because Your Monster, which stars Tommy Dewey and Melissa Barrera, here we go, circling around. It's about a woman who moves back into her childhood townhome or whatever in New York City. and she discovers that the monster under her bed as a kid has been living there and squatting in her property. Now, what I love about this film is it swings for the fences at the end. And it's one of those films where the end changes the entire movie. And for me, it changed it in such a way that it didn't work. But it did work for some people. So everybody, please check that out. It's streaming on Max, I believe. Your Monster. Get all up inside it.
That was at Sundance 2024.
Oh, was it? Excellent. Very nice. So yeah, she's got I think she's fantastic in this role. And so appealing and so gorgeous. Also, that velvet suit, girl.
That red velvet. Whoa.
Hey man, is that velvet? I need to get one of those suits, man. That's gonna be my next court attire. The third person I'm going to talk about is. Go ahead.
Before we move on,
yes.
I know we mentioned it briefly. Do you watch White Lotus? Speaking of ambiguousness,
I think I'm gonna need my gay card revoked because I have not seen any of the seasons, and I know it's rife with male nudity, so I really should be in there, but I'm not.
You need to be in it like Flynn, baby. That is a wonderful series, and when I saw her in that second season, she is so good. And then The Perfect Couple, that was like a boom boom. I instantly said she's going to be a star.
Wow.
And drop. She is so good. But again, if you haven't seen White Lotus, season 3 just ended. Maybe not the best. I tend to think the second season was the best with Meghann. But yeah, it's good. So you need to get on it.
Get on it. Okay, so we got 2 more, and then we're going to get to our spoiler-free reviews. Violet Bean, American actress. People probably know her from Truth or Dare.
Yes.
She was in that, as well as she played Jesse Wells, Jesse Quick in The Flash. So she's mainly done a lot of TV. She's also in The Leftovers, The Resident. I don't know if anybody saw that on Fox. It was one of my favorite medical shows, shot in Atlanta. Strong cast, really great scripts. And then it got canceled. So that's Violet Bean. She's awesome. She starred also in something called God Friended Me on CBS, which I guess I just kind of skipped because of the title, but I hear it was really good. And the other person I'm going to note is a gentleman named Jeffrey Self. He is a comedian, American actor and writer. I know him from there were these shorts called like Gays of Thrones or whatever, where there were 10 episodes of it, and was like a gay hairdresser who would be like, girl, let me tell you about Game of Thrones. And it was just absolutely hysterical. So he's been doing a lot of like comedy shorts like that. You've seen him in stuff like Search Party, The Horror of Dolores Roach. That was a recent like Prime thing. He's been in a ton of stuff, but he's a very funny comedian, and he's very funny in this. Saving that last cast member for the spoilers, but here we go. I'm going to start with you, actually. Spoiler-free review, drop. What you got? Did you like it?
I did. I did like Drop a lot. Now, I'm going to compare it to a film that I feel like it just hits right on the nail. And to me, this is so similar to a film made about 20 years ago. Wes Craven, the king of horror, threw onto us a Hitchcockian thriller called Red Eye. That takes place mainly in an airport and on a plane. That is a pot boiler, and it is so reminiscent of this film to me. This is a turn also for Christopher Landon, just like that was a turn for Wes Craven, both of them getting away from straight through horrors. And this is 90 snap, crackle, pop minutes just from the get-go. You get a great opening sequence. To know a little bit about our lead, we see Meghann basically getting abused in an abusive relationship with an ex.
Trigger warning, folks. Trigger warning. That opening is tough.
And they're smart the way they keep bringing that intro back throughout the film when we need it to understand her motivations and why she's doing what she's doing. But basically, the entirety of this movie takes place in a really nice restaurant that's named Palette up on the top of some beautiful skyscraper in Chicago. What a beautiful restaurant. Everything about the set design and production design in that, whether they built that or found it, was gorgeous, and the way the camera spun around to let us know every inch of that area, all of the players. And there's some interesting things they do, like they almost like a play. They spotlight different
Yes,
to let you like kind of, ooh, who's the mystery, who's the killer. The way they do those spotlights, boom, it all goes black and it goes spotlight on that character. There is just so much originality in what is a classic trope, you know. It's all in one place. It's a thriller, basically. You've seen the trailer, you know the plot. She's on a first date, and all of a sudden somebody gives her a drop, like an airdrop. Instead of using airdrop, they use something fictional called a digi-drop, where basically you can communicate with you via your phone in a short, like they say 50 feet or 60 feet radius. So somebody within that restaurant was to do a good job of continually spinning around to let us know someone is sending her messages and wants her to kill her date. So that's the basis of the plot, but it is just snap, crackle, pop, pot boiler. I was at the edge of my seat, and then you get a finale that just works. I love the way this thing all came together. This, to me, is one of the more successful films we've watched since I've started this. I had so much fun with this movie, and it might just be Christopher Landon's best. I really did love him moving away from the comedy and showing that he has the ability to do something very, like, we're going to say this over and over again, very Hitchcock. And he can really bring the thrills, the chills, the humor. I mean, going back to Jeffrey Self's character, he plays this annoying but so endearing, I'm guessing he's overtly gay actor who's also a waiter. And the way that he's just hilarious throughout the whole film. Every character, I mean, Gabrielle Ryan, we didn't really talk about her, but she plays a bartender also.
Oh, so cute.
So cute. And then Ed Weeks as the pianist. I also love him. Every little piece player in this is just so good. I really, really enjoyed this film. For me, spoiler free, this is a hard watch. Get it in your eye holes, folks. Okay, what about you?
Okay, so it's definitely a watch. So the one caveat for me is I really hate the flashback device, right? Because, you know, it's like things are ramping up. Oh my God, the bomb's going to go off. Let's watch a flashback, folks. And I'm kind of like, but it did work in this. I will say that I guess because of the trailers, I was expecting something a little more fast-paced. And don't get me wrong, it is fast-paced, folks, but I don't know, I was expecting stuff to like pop, 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 and it slow boils, right? And in a way, I think that Red Eye is a very good comp for this film as well. It also kind of reminded me of John Badham's Nick of Time, if anybody saw that with Johnny Depp. In the respect that, so Nick of Time, that thriller was set in real time, but if you watch it again, they fucked up. But anyway, whatever. It's set in real time, and it's technically like 90 minutes in the life of that character. And I kind of felt like this was 90 minutes in the life of this character. But you know, that 90 minutes while they're in the restaurant, I was like, you know what? I would have been like him too. I would have checked out. I would have been like, whatever's going on, you get to deal with it on your own. So I think some of that, the pacing and some of the suspension of disbelief that Landon wants you to take on, I don't know. So it's a little flawed, but yeah, this thing moves. It doesn't really give you enough time to think about, well, how could that have happened and this had happened and blah, blah, blah. But I think the more you start to look at this, and it is kind of like a techno-thriller in some ways, because we've got the cell phone. The more you start to look at this, the more it is smartly written.
It is.
A lot of times you'll see a horror film or a film, and then you'll think about it and you'll be like, why did they do that? None of that made sense. Some of this, when you think about it, it starts to make it makes sense. It's like, okay, that's how I would have done it also. And this is, you know, how it would have gone. The performances are fantastic. I mean, everybody is great.
Yes.
there's a part of me that thinks that, and I know you're probably going to be shocked by this, but I feel like Fahy could have given us maybe a little bit more, just in terms of, I didn't get the sense that she had that peril boiling under her skin. You know what I mean? Like, sure, it's there, but I don't know. I feel like she could have maybe gone a little more extra and been, I don't know. I don't know what I'm missing. What's there is good. I think it could have been better, especially since she is 110% like the focus of the film and what she's going through. And I think that some of her facial reactions and the way that she reacts, I don't know, I think I would have wanted to see a little more desperation. But it's still a very, very solid thriller. I'll talk about this more in the spoiler section, but it's so smartly and tightly written that there is a reveal at the end where I was like, who the fuck is that? And then when I thought about it, I was like, oh shit.
It made sense, but it didn't while you were watching it. And then when that hits, I mean, we'll get more into it in the spoilers.
I know. And
gosh,
because
I can't wait to watch this again to see that.
I mean, what
you want to watch again and again to catch those little things.
I think we were talking about, either you and I were talking about this or somebody was talking about it. No, we reviewed it. It was a movie. They pulled them. It was Hard Eyes. They pulled the mask off and you were kind of like, who's that?
Yep. Same kind of, yeah.
Right. And so same kind of thing happens here, which is pretty fantastic. But again, another theme that I thought was really, really good was there is a visual narrative. People look out for it, about, surviving abuse and realizing, I'm stronger than what I think I am, and I'm not a victim. And if you look at the visual narrative from the beginning, and even how it starts on her character, and then the way that the film ends, perfect. Very well written. And then the other thing is that there's this idea of, okay, we're in a society where it's so high tech, you could threaten somebody through Digidrop, but in the end, it's simple technology that actually saves us. And I thought that was really, really clever when you sort of tie these things together. There's also a double entendre over the title, which the trailer also gave away. I'll leave you all to think about that as well. But yeah, it's a hard watch. It's a great theater experience. Much like Minecraft, if you get the right audience with this, it's a hoot. It's just an absolute hoot. So much whispering, so much like, what's she doing? Why doesn't she do this? Why doesn't she do this? And it's fun.
Eyes, the nervous energy. I mean, I was like, kind of like felt the skin just crawling because I was so nervous throughout the whole film. I felt for her. I felt it in her performance, the way that she was just consistently like her eyes were twitching, and the way that I love when they're like, I do not want him to leave. He's going to leave. You need to smile. And then she's like, okay, I have to smile. And then she starts to smile. She's so good in this. I was absolutely like gobsmacked by her. And
she is, but I wanted just a little more desperation. Like she could have done the Terminator smile, like,
and why
like uneasy.
Why do we have to cast okay, this is nitpicky, but the kid they cast as her son, why do we have to get these weird, ugly little nerdy kids?
You are mean. Actually, I'm going to say something
gorgeous.
I'm going to say something mean too. Well, he was the product of an abuser. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. But I'm going to say something mean too. That kid's head was huge. Like the camera zeroes in on him, and I'm like, oh
my gosh. Oh, and there is okay, so we've talked about the good. The good is all that stuff. While the conception of the writing and the way that scenes go is brilliant. Man, some of the dialogue in this thing is a little cringy.
Yeah, just a tiny bit. A couple more things, and then we'll go to spoiler free. I failed to mention that this film is shot in Ireland, actually, believe it or not. Yep. And I think some of the outside locations were in an Irish city in Dublin, I think, because I was like, this looks like London or like UK or something. But this restaurant that they've constructed is not only so beautiful, but so her character is a survivor of abuse. And the theme of the visual theme of the film is that she's kind of like trapped in that moment in time and singular. And she's like in a prison. And so if you look around at the restaurant, even though there's these big open windows, you'll see these things that kind of go up like ribs, almost like a prison cell. And it's on the walls. And then some of the people sitting and eating, there's like a structure that separates them from the other parts of the restaurant, but it looks very like prison-esque.
Yeah.
Which I dug that in the production design. So kudos to the production designer. Yeah, this is really good. I love this. Big watch.
Yep, hard watch. Now let's spoil the shizat in
okay, here we go.
2, 1. My
All right.
God. Let's go. Where we want to start?
Well, let me start with this. Obviously, you know, when you go into a film like this, you're trying to like outguess the writers, right?
Yeah.
And quite honestly, there is an immediate setup of 3 potential suspects, right? Because when we discover that her phone has been cloned, if we're assuming the film takes place in this one location sort of thing, then we have to assume that her phone got cloned at the restaurant. And that only happens when you're very, very close to somebody. So right off the bat, there's 3 people, right?
Yep.
And so the actor I sort of stayed away from mentioning is actor Reed Diamond. And so Reed Diamond, many of you will know him. He was on Homicide: Life on the Street. So he's from Brooklyn. He went to the Juilliard. People will know him from like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Bones, Franklin and Bash. So he's a working television actor, character actor. He's cropped up in some films. He used to have red hair, really, really sexy. It's obviously silver now. But when he showed up, I was like, okay, he's the only other big name actor in the restaurant, right? I'm like, it's got to be him.
See, for me, I thought Ed Weeks, because Ed Weeks to me is a huge name because I watched Mindy Project.
Oh my God, yes, I loved him from the Mindy Project, right?
Yeah.
But then when he drops dead, because you see that in the trailer, you see him fall over, and then you see like the cell phone that says like, I can do anything, don't, whatever. It's like, okay, well, the trailer just ruined that. So
there's so many
once
things
again, Hollywood, stop fucking with us with the trailers. But they really tricked us out though, because I really thought it was that sexy guy who was waiting for so long for that sister.
I thought for sure it was him. There's no way it's not him once we realized that Ed Weeks died. And then they really paint Reed Diamond's character just to be this old guy going on a date. And and then you see this whole scene where the woman saw him and was like, oh, he's not attractive. There's no vibe there. And you could tell that everyone in the restaurant felt for this guy. And they did a good job of making it feel for him. So gosh, this movie just.
But that was actually an amazing red herring, because then you're like, nobody's gonna think the poor guy on the blind date is the actual orchestrator. But so as the movie is going along, though, we come to find out that Sklenar is a photographer. And then when the cell phone stuff starts popping off, I love the visuals. That's what I forgot to mention in the spoiler free is the visuals of the text coming through, and even how they played that. It reminds me a lot of I think he's French director Jaume Collet-Serra. He did like The Shallows and Nonstop, but it has The Shallows has that sort of visual style. Like she'll be on her cell phone and then these cute little graphics show up of like the text or what she's looking on her cell phone. So I really like that visualization.
Same cinematographer as The Shallows. So
yeah, I mean, there you go. But at the same time, sometimes you can, I don't know, when the titles appear that arch or that big or comic book like, it can steal some of the suspense. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it can
steal or it can add. Like in certain films, it feels like it can add to it, and I felt like it added to it, and the way that the text looked like it was like literally phone text that was blown up big.
Yeah.
It's cool and added to the overall vibe.
Yeah, absolute techno thriller. I love the fact that when she's looking in the mirror, you can see the words backwards behind over her shoulder when she's like doing the cell phone. And I was like, okay, maybe that went a little too far. Right. But what I also love, so what we find out is that he's a photographer, he's working for the mayor, and then suddenly there's this take the SD card out. Right. And so when that happens, you start thinking, okay, well, it's going to be a businessman. The hot guy is in a suit, right? Yep. But then you completely forget about Reed Diamond, who's on this horror show of like a blind date, and he's in a suit too. But remember, we're like, oh, okay, he put the suit on to impress the date, who was like not impressed because she storms out or whatever. And then they kind of, I thought they could have played around with us a little bit more about whether Brandon Sklenar was maybe a bad guy or not. But I did enjoy the trope of him being like the super nice guy that goes out of his way to like do things like, oh, I'll get the limes, or, oh, you wait, I'll look for your, watch or whatever. But I love that she uses that against him in some ways, right? Manipulation, which I also found to be a curious like stroke of the screenplay. Like when we talk about domestic violence and abuse or whatever, often the one who is abused is gaslit or manipulated. And so it was interesting from her character's vantage point to then be manipulating this guy, almost not abuser-like, but just using that kind of like head game stuff to sort of like, accomplish what she needed to do. And that's another thing that I think was interesting too about the screenplay is it starts with her, being assaulted by this gentleman who has a gun. And then the harrowing, like the kid is watching all of this going on. And they lead you to believe.
Did she kill him? Did she murder him?
Right.
How did he die? And does she have it in her to kill? Because we're all like, okay, something's going to have to happen. Does she have it in her to pull that trigger? Does she have it in her to do it? So I thought that was interesting.
It was interesting, but when it finally comes out that Reed Diamond is who appears to be, I guess, a fixer for the mayor, right? And it seemed like Brandon Sklenar had found out they were siphoning money from the city, and so he was tasked with dispatching him, and somehow he had researched her, right? And when he says, oh, the murderous widow or whatever, and I like how they did play with us like, oh my God, she did shoot him, because I mean, I would, right? If the guy's like, hey, shoot me or whatever, I'd be like, kapow, self-defense, just like Anne Hathaway in The Dark Knight Rises, where she like beats up the guy, and as soon as the police come in, she's like screaming like she's a victim or whatever. That's what I would have done. But that's why I say, like, when they finally go to that flashback and they show us that she didn't kill him and that he sort of killed himself, but she has the trauma of watching that and being an abuse survivor, then you're like, okay, now what's she gonna do? Like, is she really gonna whatever?
And there's a nice bit of dialogue where they were talking and they get emotional. Like she starts to break down talking about her abuse and her son.
I love that scene.
I
so
love
good.
that scene. And then he's like, feels basically that he was abused. He started working for the mayor and realized, oh my gosh, he's using me. He's using me. He's doing this crooked stuff. And he basically becomes a mole for the FBI to try to catch this mayor on some fraud and a bunch of other stuff. So man, that bit of political intrigue in there, that twist intrigue really got me. The more this movie reveals what it's doing, the more you just get tightly wound. That's why it's just that classic pot boiler. Like you can feel the pot just, and then the kettle whistling, and then boom, that scene where we think that she was told to pour this medicine or some kind of fentanyl mix into his drink.
Poison.
Poison, which we see that him do to the pianist. So we're thinking, oh, she just poisoned him. It looks like she's poisoning him. And then that trick of the sleight of the hand where she actually poisons the freaking villain. That was
Yeah.
so great. And when he realizes it, and boom, that gun comes out and all hell breaks loose. I jumped out.
Oh my God, that was a shocker. I was like, haha, we got you. And then he pulls the gun out and I'm like, fuck it, run for your lives.
Oh, and I love the throwback coming back around with the hockey puck, and she has
Oh my God, that was so good. Because again, I think this is the great thing about the screenplay. She realizes it's not the guy the cute guy in the suit, because the bartender comes up to her and says, look, are you unsafe? This is another theme that I love about it, which is this sort of like protective instinct of not only Sklenar, but the bartender woman. And she's like, look, if you're unsafe, I will help you get out of here. Right. Yeah. And then, Fahy says, who is that guy? And then she's like, oh, they come here often. And she's like, okay, can't be him. And then she goes over with the 2 shots to Reed Diamond. And she's like, here you go. Why don't you drink it or whatever? And basically susses him out and discovers that he is the one doing it. Yeah. But then when she finally figures out who it is, I love the fact that she like tricked him like that. It was fantastic because, this is like Hitchcock talking about the bomb under the table and suspense and tension. We know there's poison in the shot. And then Reed Diamond is like, oh no, I won't take it. Why don't you drink it? And then she's like, yeah, go ahead, drink it or whatever. And we're like, oh my God, Brandon Sklenar is going to die. And then we realize she switched it, which I kind of figured she did or whatever. But that was great. But the other great part is, as all of that ensues, and then Reed Diamond like stabs the shit out of that bartender. I was like, oh God, holy fuck. She was just trying to help a girl. She like fucking got stabbed in the back, literally. You think that she's going to grab the gun and shoot him, and then we're like, wait, she's not that kind of girl. And that's when she breaks the glass, and then he gets like sucked out because they're on the 38th floor. Or whatever.
Double entendre.
The drop. Which, and again, I always say this, the beginning tells you everything that you need to know about the film. So when you see the beginning and when you see the credits start with these weird arches, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then you see these objects shattering as they're quote unquote dropping. Yeah. And it was kind of like, okay, they primed us for it. Somebody's going out that fucking window, right? Or something's going to happen.
Fuck that trailer for ruining
you trailers.
Why? You could have done you did not need to show that window breaking and her hanging. That was a mistake. Trailer makers out there who are listening, please
cut it the fuck out.
Do not spoil movies with these visuals. I mean, luckily, luckily the film really does work enough that even though some things are spoiled, the mystery, the MacGuffins, everything in this just works as this kind of a way that the spoiling doesn't really matter because it's the journey. And then throughout the film, I think one thing you did say is you have to kind of give away a little bit of disbelief. I mean, there comes a point after the 6th time that she gets up and leaves the table that I'm like, I would leave if I am him.
Totally.
But in the end, they bring it back around because in the final scene where they're sitting in the hospital communicating, he's like, she's like, why did you stay with me? Why didn't you get up after he basically just explains, well, I felt like there was something between us and they had enough of a connection. And they kind of explained that away because anybody else would have left. And he does almost try to leave and she's able to grab him in and kiss him.
Yeah.
Gosh, this movie, the more we talk about it, the more I love it.
I love it too, even with its flaws. But I love how she brings him fast food in the hospital room, and it looks like Burger King, but literally the name of the restaurant is Burger, just Burger. And then you say the cute little thing is she gets a drop while she's talking to him, but we realize it's from the sister playing a joke, and the sister's like, too soon. Scooter turned next to me and he was like, I would have slapped the shit out of that bitch.
Oh, that whole sequence with the sister in the house.
Oh, let's talk about that. So
she has to race her way there.
So Diamond goes out the window. Sklenar's been shot.
Kill them all.
Yes, kill them all. Sklenar's been shot. He says, go, go get your girl and your boy. He calls 911. She drives, and talk about tension. We've got her trying to speed there and not kill herself in the process. And then the killer basically trying to X them out. And the sister is like fighting like mad to protect the kid.
She's so good. The sister from Truth or Dare, man, she was great.
She's really, really good. But can I also say this? What kind of assassin are you if you can't get a good headshot on somebody lying on the floor?
On the floor, come on, bro.
What? I don't understand. Okay, so just a couple more points about that ending. First of all, that ending really great. Watching that ending, I was like, Spyglass, are you stupid? Why did you let Christopher Landon go? I mean, just the tension in this film, he would have made an amazing Scream film. Yeah. Just like when I found out Radio Silence was going to do it, and just thinking back to Ready or Not and thinking about their VHS shorts, I was like, they're perfect for Scream. Christopher Landon is perfect for Scream. Spyglass, you fucked up. Kevin Williamson is untested as a director. We'll have to see how he does on Scream 7. But so she ends up dispatching the killer in the house, and before she kills him, he pulls his mask off, and I have to admit, I was like, who the fuck was that? But it's the guy in the beginning who was knocking on the window, and he was like, hey, I'm here to check the meter or whatever. But he was scoping it to figure out how to get in. And that's, again, why I think this is so smartly written, because when you think about things like that, or you think about, why is Brandon Sklenar carrying his fucking camera around with him in a backpack, right? I'm like, why wouldn't you leave that at home? You're on a date. It turns out, folks, he was going to later meet with the FBI, and they likely said, don't take that camera out of your fucking possession. Right. So that's why he has the backpack. So it's all, they really thought this out really well. And back to the theme of high tech, which can kind of terrorize us, and then low tech, which helps us. In the beginning of the film, there's the little remote control that the little boy he maneuvers into the kitchen. She takes the note off of it and says, Toby is hiding or whatever. Right. And we're like, oh, super cute. We love their relationship or whatever. So at the end of the movie, the killer is almost ready to like basically shoot her, and he had dropped, I think, another gun or something, but she's sitting there and he's ready to dispatch her. He pulls his mask off, and then the remote control car comes along and the gun's in there. And then finally she's like, you know what, this is where I'm the mama bear, because it deals with my kid again, and I'm going to take the shot. Exactly. And she grabs the gun and she kills him, and I was like, fantastic. So yeah, the more I do talk about this, the more I love it too.
I know, I loved it, man. And I'm giddy. I hope everyone gets out there and sees it. I know that it's getting beat by The Amateur and
oh my God, have we not seen The Amateur so many times? I'm like, it looks like The Accountant, and John Bernthal's in it. Like, what the fuck?
And then, I don't know about you, but that King of Kings movie, I showed up to see this Friday during lunchtime. Yeah. And I get there and there's 50 people in line, and it's just nothing but old white hairs and kids and families. And it's this King of Kings, like animated. What is King of? It's an animated Jesus movie that's like selling out theaters in Utah. I don't know if it's doing the same around you.
Oh dear God, literally.
Here it is selling out. Like there was lines of old ladies and families waiting to see Jesus.
Wow. Oh no, hold on. Does Pierce Brosnan play Jesus? Wait, who plays Jesus?
I don't know. It's an animated film based off of Charles Dickens' writing about Jesus.
No! Oscar Isaac is the voice of Jesus. Wait, did you listen to Wait, did you listen to that episode of Gentleman's Guide? I forget what episode we were on, but I did. Okay, really quickly, because I know that the running time is going. But so I explained something called the Jesus list, which was, if there is a really sexy actor who has ever played Jesus, he has to come off my spank bank list because he's played Jesus. You can't spank to somebody who played Jesus, folks. Now, the caveat to this like Jesus list is that if there's sufficient amount of time and roles in between playing Jesus, so for example, Jeremy Sisto, who's now on FBI, he was in Hideaway, but he played Jesus. He was in Clueless, super hot guy. but he's been in enough stuff like Suburbia, the series, FBI, all of that, that the sheen of playing Jesus has worn off, and so I can spank to him. But now I can't spank to Oscar Isaac. Thank you so much, Sung Hoo Jang, for making The King of Kings, motherfucker.
Yeah, that movie, I'm not seeing it, but it's by that Angel Studios local to Utah. They have like Jesus movies in theaters every week here, and they allow you to buy tickets for people. So I walk in and there's literally like tickets for King of Kings like sitting on all over where you can grab.
Didn't Angel Studios do that one with like Jack Reacher and Hilary Swank?
They did. Well, the one I know is the one with Caviezel, Jesus again, where he was
Sound of Freedom.
Yeah, Sound of Freedom, and then you find out the person it's based off of is really a piece of shit.
a total piece of shit and an embezzler and possibly anyway.
Anyways, we deride. This is what this podcast does.
Yes, to digress back. Many digressions, folks, but to digress back to our movie. Hard watch now because we love this.
It's a hard watch. Basically,
yes, please.
Let's make it beat Jesus and the amateur. See this movie in theaters.
Rami Malek in his big like Roadrunner eyes. I'm gonna kill you. I love Rami Malek.
I'm like, Rami, eat a burger or two, please.
Or something. Oh, very, very skinny.
He looks like Christian Bale in The Machinist. It's like, bro, gain some weight, homie.
The Machinist assassin. All right. Anyway, okay. We've got some pluses. You start or I start?
You go ahead and start.
Okay. So I love the barefoot lifestyle. I was born with flat feet, horrible flat feet. I've mentioned this before. I went to see a doctor and they were like, oh, and they brought in all the interns to be like, look at this man's flat feet. They're like textbook and extreme or whatever. And everybody's like poking at my feet. I'm like, can I leave, please? Anyway, so I started buying like barefoot profile shoes. So barefoot profile means that there is no, it's all level. There's no extension at the heel or at the toes. So it's a barefoot profile, zero basically with the ground. And that helps to support your feet. There are some studies that say that you can actually ruin your feet if you use barefoot shoes, barefoot profile shoes, but you're not walking correctly or fixing your gait. And so I would just say, take this advice with a grain of salt. Always contact your doctor because it's not going to work for everybody. But barefoot shoes, all of my shoes are barefoot profile. They have the wider toe box, so your toes can spread out. Toe spread, which I mentioned on another show. Yeah. And so I wanted to show everybody a brand called Peluva. So Peluva. You can see it in the shoe, and I'm covering the front of it because it's a 5-toe shoe basically. And so you can see the bottom of it. Wow. So there is some good support here, but it encourages natural gait, natural walking. It's very flexible. You can see it has a zero profile. I think this is a 9mm like cushion basically, but it's still a 9mm. That's a zero drop. It's like kind of like an airtight weave here. Okay. This one is called hang on a second. This one is called the Men's Strand Lightweight Trainer. I actually got it on sale. It normally retails at $139. I got it for $90. Unfortunately, a lot of the sizes are gone because they've been selling. I don't know if they're getting rid of this, but I also bought their trail version, which is called the Strand ATR. And I use that at work. It actually has like these laces that you simply you don't tie like this. You can actually just pull the strap and it's on. You have to get used to these. You can either wear them barefoot or with 5-toe socks. Shout out to Creepers, Creepers. They are a 5-toe sock brand that I love. You can get them on Amazon now. They're based in New Zealand. They have a factory in Kentucky. So made in the USA, Mr. Trump. But I love these. They are expensive, but they are fantastic. My feet feel fantastic in this. I work out in these. I run on the treadmill on these. I think I'm going to be buying more. I love it. Peluva, Peluva. The other part of my plus is There's something called CinemaCon, which comes out. So there are all these little conventions, exhibitor conventions, that if you read the trades being Variety, Hollywood Reporter, and Deadline, if you read the trades, there's things like CinemaCon, Show West, the exhibitors, Show West, Artists of Tomorrow, things like that. So if you want to be on the cusp of like what's happening in the industry and who's big, you go to these things or you watch the headlines for these things. So at CinemaCon, they had premiered a new trailer for Meghann 2.0, the sequel to Meghann from Blumhouse. I mentioned this earlier. And I had, of course, they can't put the trailer up because it's at CinemaCon. So you have to wait for it to be exhibited. But I had read the description of this and I was like, okay, I've got to see this, right? Well, we got this trailer before drop. And I think a lot of you are going to get this as well. And there was a phrase that came out of CinemaCon for Meghann 2.0, which is hold on to your vaginas. And when the trailer started, I nudged Scooter and I was like, there's a phrase that's going to pop in this trailer that you are going to laugh your ass off. And sure enough, when she says, hold on to your vaginas, everybody like laughed or whatever. But people, you have to see this trailer for Meghann 2.0 because
I can't wait to see Meghann 2.0.
So if we reviewed Meghann on this very podcast, and one of the things that we talked about was that it just was your standard lame killer robot kind of thing. And the thing that we pointed out was they didn't go far enough in being lurid enough or taking it to the extreme.
Or can't be enough, you know?
Or can't be enough. Let me tell you, folks, they got the memo because this trailer is going to blow your mind. Did they cross the line? Did they go extreme? They did it. They did it 200%. And I cannot wait to see this film. So I'm sure it's online, folks. Check out that trailer, Meghann 2.0. What did you think about that trailer? Were you like, oh my God, now this is what I'm waiting to see?
This is Terminator 2.0, baby. Let's get in it.
Oh my Christ. And now Blumhouse has that, and now this. Maybe they're back on their winning streak. Who knows?
I'm excited for Meghann 2.0, and it will be reviewed on this podcast. We are.
Hells yeah. Your plus, what you got?
My plus. Well, last night, my wife actually is in film. She makes films. One of her films is actually filming in our neighborhood. And
nice.
So the neighbors all wanted to go and watch it being filmed. Me and Katie are like, okay, take our kids. And we got the night to ourselves while they were out watching her movie being made. We got to sit down and finally watch a movie together, which we don't do often. And we sat down and watched the blissfully funny and endearing One of Them Days, starring SZA and Keke Palmer. It's just right now on Netflix. I don't know if it dropped this weekend or last weekend.
Last weekend.
Man, it is like Friday with a modern day female bent. If you know Friday with Ice Cube, this movie is very similar. You have SZA, who's a very famous R&B musician, and my God, she's beautiful. That body,
yeah,
banging.
They're both gorgeous, actually. Keke
Palmer
and her.
Palmer and SZA. The movie is absolutely hilarious. It's literally one of them days. One day in the life of these two characters living in a kind of a slummy part of California. It's basically they have to get money for rent or else they're going to be kicked out. Keke Palmer basically is working at a fast food place or a restaurant. SZA's an artist who doesn't know how to sell her art, but she makes beautiful paintings. They don't make very much money. SZA's live-in boyfriend, whose joke is he's got like a 15-inch unit that they love to show.
Yes.
One of the first scenes is he wearing her robe and he takes the robe off and you see it like literally this thing's hanging down, almost the tips popping out of the boxers. There's so many hilarious, funny gags in this movie that throughout my wife and I were just cackling and just it's so funny. It's refreshing to see a comedy like this, and it was successful. It made like $55 million off of a $14 million budget. It's written by people who wrote for Insecure, which is a wonderful female Black-driven television show that my wife and I also love.
Issa Rae.
One thing that people need to know about me is I was raised in the ghettos of North Carolina in my teen years, where my family were the only white family in this straight up Section 8 kind of ghetto. And I learned to love the culture of Southern Black and the vibe of community and family of the Black community. I love hip hop. I love R&B. And this film encaptured all of that, the essence of what it is to be Black American, the struggles, everything. And I just ate this thing up. So once again, go see One of Them Days, a hard watch for me, directed by Lawrence Lamont, written by Sarita Singleton, starring Kiki Palmer, SZA, and Vanessa Bell Calloway. I really think everyone needs to see this. Get it in your eye holes right now on Netflix.
Nice. Lawrence Lamont has also directed, it looks like the series, 4 episodes of the series Rap Shit, but he's also done music videos for Big Sean 2088. He has previously written shorts and music videos. And then, hang on, I just want to spotlight the writer. Give me 1 second. Sarita Singleton, yes, writes for Insecure, also Rap Shit, and then an animated series called Central Park. So yeah, up and comers. Troy over at Not a Bomb saw this in the theaters and said that he's never laughed so hard in a film, and encouraged all of us to see it. I never got to the theaters to see it, so I'm really excited. It's on my queue, but I was just recently rewatching Rebel Moon Director's Cut Part 1. Ooh. So I don't know. Eventually I'll get back to it. Troy hates Rebel Moon. Troy and Brad hate Zack Snyder and Rebel Moon or whatever, but I just couldn't resist rewatching Rebel Moon, the director's cut. Anyway, whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, we'll have to check that out. So if any of you have Netflix, it's on.
Yep. Check it out. A lot of fun. Anyway,
aren't they making a sequel to Friday? Actually, I heard that.
Yep. And I actually heard part of it is because One of Them Days was such a success. Ice Cube was able to prove that people want to see these movies. Like the Black community wants to see movies. And I think next week we're going to be seeing a very much a Black community film, and that is Ryan Coogler's Sinners, right? That's what we plan on seeing next week.
Are we? Is that what we're doing next week, Sinners?
That's that's the big release, and I think
let's do it.
I definitely think it'll be interesting to see what he does with slavery-based zombies. Is that what
I don't know what it is, but I'm here for it, even if he rips off shots from The Shining.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Let's see what we get. So
actually, you know what I'd be interested to hear? I'd be interested to hear what comp movie we decide, right? So, Death of a Unicorn was Krampus, Drop is Red Eye. I have a mind of what comp I think Sinners is going to be like, but we'll see. Okay, so if this is the first time that you're listening to us or even seeing us on our home on Spotify or YouTube, please follow, like, subscribe, leave a 5-star review, we hope, or even if it's not a 5-star review, go ahead and let us know what we can change, how we can change the format. As you can tell, this is all very conversational and there are tangents. I know that there are some people out there who don't like the chit chat, but look, this is what it's like to be in a room with the two of us, quite honestly. A lot of flitting around and tangents on different filmmakers and films and movies and stuff like that and pop culture. So yeah, that's why I say pop culture ensues, because we just can't help ourselves, folks. But if you love us, you'll certainly
guys like us in our 40s and 50s who have grown up on film for the last 4 decades. I mean, what do you expect?
Yeah, I know. I was just texting with Sammy and Troy and Brad, and they were talking about how they love that the kids growing up who had played Minecraft now have a film that they can go to and they can see all of the Easter eggs and appreciate it and be like, oh, I know this, and now it's up on the big screen. And I kind of was like, yeah, and what do we got? Masters of the fucking Universe. And I don't know, Puggy Brewster or some shit. Anywho, if you love us, you'll certainly love our Podfathers, A Gentleman's Guide to Midnight Cinema. We mentioned Sammy, that's Sammy and Big Will, and then Not a Bomb with Troy and Brad. You'll also love our pod brother MC. He does Friends with Cinephites. Also, you'll love Night of the Living Podcast, Wild Dream Podcast, Death by DVD, Raiders of the Podcast, Backlook Cinema with Zoe, and now for something a little bit different, which unfortunately has gone on a hiatus due to some personal things going on with John. But John, we wish you the best. We support you, and we're still going to make that Fearless episode. So just let me know when you gear back up. But our hearts are with you, obviously. Caliber 9 from outer space, and then Feminine Critique. Mike, parting thoughts.
I just want to again say thanks everybody for listening. Raiders of the podcast, I love those guys. I listen to them like weekly. They just did an episode combining a film called Bang Gang and Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia. You don't listen to them and just laugh at the way that Tyler picks the most sexual. I mean, the joke is if there's not full penetration in a Tyler pick, then it's not really a Tyler pick. So
Tyler, call me. Please, we've got some things to talk about.
Welcome to Raiders of the Podcast, folks. And yes, John, if it wasn't for you, I don't know if we really would be here doing this. John got me, kind of broke my teeth in podcasting more. I mean,
yeah,
you can go back and find me and my buddy Brian on a really not great episode of Gentleman's Guide that we'd recorded a decade ago.
Stop.
It was really my first podcast. And it was infamous for kind of causing a ruckus amongst the fan base when it first dropped, but that was a decade ago.
Oh, now I'm going to have to find this, okay?
It's the Daryl and Firefox episode. Go look it up. It's not great.
Okay.
We recorded it literally in Brian's closet because we didn't have the great equipment. And they were like, called us and said, hey, we're not going to have an episode for a couple of weeks. You want to like do a kind of a guest episode? Because at the time, Brian was doing a podcast called Hamicus, which he was doing Hammer and Amicus.
Oh, yeah.
Horror films. And then he was like, yeah, sure, we'll do that. And he asked me to be a part of it. But yeah, listen to that. I think I've grown a lot. Everyone keeps telling me that they love our banter. Again, thanks for writing us. You can message us, email us directly at watchskipplus@gmail.com. You can message either of us on our social media. You can find us at WatchSkipPlus on Facebook. Again, continue to take your families and your friends and pack the theaters. Just leave the chickens at home. Let's continue to enjoy live exhibition. And I'm excited for the concert season coming up. It's spring, it's summertime. It's just, life is good.
Yeah, life is good. And I have seen Bang Gang. Honestly, I was expecting Bang Gang to be a little bit more like Donkey Punch, which is a real movie, folks. And it features some actors who are now big. Okay. What's his name? Who I think is super cute. Tom Riley, I think his name is. He was in Black Bag. But he was in Donkey Punch. But Tyler, let's talk.
Yeah, we need to get Tyler on this show.
Yes, absolutely. All right, everybody. As always, be kind, be open, be vulnerable. That's where the art is. And we will see you next week. Bye. All right, that was awesome. And just in time for you. So that's great.